What's going on, Deep Dive Spear Crew? Brock here. I'll give you an update on the build on the 1973 222. Been working on it. If this is your first video seeing us right here on Deep Dive Spear Crew, check out the other videos. Got a bunch of build videos on this 73 Aquasport. Got some diving videos, spearfishing, deer hunting, a few little falconry videos. But lately I've just been doing a lot of sanding. Nothing really sexy to film or anything like that. But here she is. I've got the inside of it almost entirely sand down. Got just the other side on the outside of that stringer to do. And then I'll be ready to start laying the height of the floor out and start building stringers. I've got 100 yards of 1708 on order. And whenever that gets back in, I'll start forming it out, get some melamine from Lowe's, cut that, and find my angle and start laying out my stringers. On this video, I'm going to show you a little bit about getting lined up and getting ready for a spearfishing trip. It's about a month out from when we're going to take our first trip. I think we've got it lined up for April the 6th. We're going to dive out of Panama City with Captain Dave Dorado. Never been with him. Heard he's a good captain. I hope so. Sure he is. He's been referred as a good reputable captain. Going to go out and try to shoot some triggerfish, find some slipper lobster, just see what we can get into. Snapper season, red snapper season won't be in yet, and gag season, grouper season will be out. So probably a hodgepodge of things we're going to look for. Look for some porgies, look for some mangrove snapper, things that we enjoy shooting. So on this video, I'll give you a little bit of tour. I'll show you what I shoot. I'll show you my spear. This is my Speargun wall. Got a little small inshore spear for jetty fishing. I've got a 48-inch sawed-off Magnum JBL, and what I shoot is the Koa. It's got a little bit of dust on it from all the grinding and sanding inside of the barn here. I love Koas. This is my favorite spear gun I've ever had, and I'll throw some specs up here on the screen right quick. And like I said, it's a roller gun. It's got a roller on the front right here, which is why it's called a roller gun, because the power band, which is this long band right here, pulls all the way through that roller and loads to the shaft on those splines. And this has a starting band on it also, so if you're shooting things up close, sometimes you'll just leave this one off and just use this roller band. This gun's large enough to shoot an amberjack. It's large enough to shoot other pelagics, like wahoo and things like that. I like it a lot, and I'll show you a little bit about it. I'm going to show you the process of replacing the mono on the shaft, the actual shot cord. So what I'll do first is actually take the shaft out. You can see that the shark fin has a hole in it and is put together with a crimp. See the shark fin and crimp. And on the gun side, there's a nice Sampo bearing swivel right here. Take the snap loose, and that takes it loose. What you want to check is check your shot cord, which that's still good. It's got a little bit of use, but it'll be good for another season. All right, so I got some 150-pound mono leader. Got my handy dandy crimping tool and my crimps. Take this right here, snip that loose. So I got my 150-pound leader. You can use 200-pound if you like, but I just have this on hand. Take your crimp, slide it on there. I found if you take your leader line and you shave it at an angle with a box cutter, it's a little bit easier to do this. Feed it through, back through your crimp, You want about a 1/2 inch loop right there, not too big, just enough so it can move around over your fin, move back and forth over your fin. And take your crimps and crimp that baby down. Crimp pliers, crimp it up. Trim your tag end off. Just like so. And I'll match it up with the length of the old one. I'll go ahead and take the shaft, load it in the gun. When you make your second crimp, you want to make sure there's a little bit of tension on your shot cord. You gotta have something to, you gotta have the tension to actually hold the mono in place. The mono stretches some, so I'll stretch it just a little bit. Little stretches, load and reload. Just see my shot cord. I want to stretch it. I want some stretch in the shot cord. So here we go. So I should pull the trigger. That pops loose. My string comes loose. My shaft should feed out. This is connected to the end of the fish, and I can reel him in. Next thing I'll do, I'll take a file and sharpen the end of my point just a little bit, using an old cloth glove so I don't scar up my shaft with these right here. Just gonna knock this edge down a little bit. A little better tip on it. What I'll do is file it to 4 sides. I'll have a flat on this side and each quadrant. Flat tip. And I'll roll it 90 degrees. This one until the back of the groove, back of the flap, the land is what they're called. The back of the land lines up with this one, and I'll roll it again. You can do this with a electric grinder, but you'll heat your tips up. And I find I just do a better job just doing it by hand. And finally, the last side. Everything good and symmetrical. so that it flies through the water like it's supposed to. The last thing I do between the lands, the flat spots, that's what I'll shape down to a perfect cone. So on a roller gun, this is an assist right here. You got two loops. One helps you pull back and the other one's actually what you hook onto your shark fin. So I hip load, I put it on my hip, grab right here, grab the strings, pull back, put it on my loop right there. Then I'll grab my assist, put it here. And so what I'm looking for is this right here. Do you see how this is starting to fray? So I have some spares, so I'm going to go ahead and replace this one. You can also see how this is starting to look almost like a dry rot. I think I may just put my new bands on it already since I have some. You never dry fire one of these. You want to unload them the same way you loaded them. So I'm going to go ahead and replace these bands also. And while I have my everything here at the shop, don't want to have to do that on the boat. And I'll take these that are on the gun and use those as my spares. So if you're blind like I am up close, Harbor Freight right there. I can feel like Inspector Gadget. So the first thing I got to do is take these assist loops loose, and I'm going to reuse that. So with the help of a few more Harbor Freight tools right here. There, so I got my loops out. I'll take my roller band, pull it back through. It comes loose right here off of that. And so, got that good to go. Take my new one. Unless they break, don't throw them away. Hold on to them, put them in your dive bag, because you'll never know when it might save your day. It may save your dive because you had a spare in the bag. Pull this through. What it takes is an overhand knot in these. Over one and through, because they have a terminal knot when you buy them, like so. Take it on around here. So for your second one, you just slide it around. You have a notch in the end of your gun, and the loop comes right out, like so. Once you get them in, you want to reload the gun, make sure everything's as it should be. That's it. She's ready to go hunting. So on my gun, you may notice these green dots. That's green nail polish. So when you go underwater, one of the first colors you lose is red. So having something marked on there in red, you wouldn't be able to see it very well. Whenever I was 15 years old on my very first spearfishing trip, the first fish that I shot, I saw this green stuff come out of it. And then I realized it was actually blood, but underwater blood looks green. So you can see I have these graduations, so I can measure a fish underwater. You can see I've got the first one at 8, the second one at 10, a 14, a 15, a 16, a 20, and then way up here I have a 36-inch mark for amberjack. So I can actually check everything underwater. Ideally, in a perfect world, you want to make sure that they're big enough before you shoot them. Occasionally, an 1/8 of an inch difference between a legal and an illegal fish. And if you shoot one illegally, you can't bring it on the boat. I hate doing that, but sometimes it does happen, especially if you're fishing public spots where your big ones are picked off pretty early in the season and everything gets really spooky. And you see on the end right here, I tied a piece of paracord right here. This is handy for snapping this off to my BC on a hook whenever I'm coming up, just to be hands-free. And you can see it's got a fire and a safe. Love these guns. Highly recommend them. Koa. Now I'll unload just like I loaded. Let everything get good stretched out for a few minutes. Now I'm going to bring over my JBL 48 sawed-off Magnum. So this is my backup. This is the JBL it's a JBL sawed-off Magnum, and it actually the Koa does not have a threaded-on tip. The tip is actually made into the shaft as part of the shaft. On this one, it actually has a thread tip on it, 6mm, and you can buy different attachments. You can put a bang stick on here. You can put this right here on there. I'm going to replace that. That one's just a El Cheapo Amazon one I'm going to throw away. Basically the same thing. This is a 3-band gun. You can load, you can take a band off if you want to shoot 2 bands. You can shoot it single band if you're diving next to jetties or just, you know, hunting fish that are pretty easy to shoot. Same principle. I actually replaced the shot cord and the line this past fall, so I'm not worried about this one. I'm just going to show it to you. It's got a line attachment on it right there if you want to put a reel on it. Pretty nice gun. It's an open rail, whereas opposed to my Koa is a closed rail. You can see the difference. The shaft is inside of this rail. It's a lot more accurate, and this is open rail. It's easier to load because once you get it inside of that loop, you can slide it on back. But as far as accuracy goes, this one's a lot better. Weight dissipates recoil. This is a lot lighter, so the recoil on this is a little bit more than this, so that impacts your accuracy. The last spear gun that I have, I don't use it very much. I've shot some vermilion snapper with it before. Salvimar. I have no idea how to say it. It's made in Italy. Salvimar. I don't know. This is a 60mm gun. Little small shaft. A nice sharp tip on it. Single flopper. It's got 2 bands. One's got a steel. One's a steel loop on it. This right here is actually an extra band I put on there. Give you a little more juice on it. It's for very up close work, dirty water, around docks, pilings and stuff like that. Somewhere you got to track really closely and take a quick shot. That's the preferred one right there. Be a little backup gun also. So that's really about it as far as the spear gun part of getting ready for a dive. I'll shoot a couple more videos as we progress toward that March the 6th date, hoping the weather holds out. and everything from checking out the BCs, the regs. I got some regs that are being serviced right now at the dive shop, and so that's it. Deep Dive Spear Crew out.